right. December 7th, 1941, December 7th, 2023. A huge difference in the world we live in. Welcome to our show, Benefits with John Clay. I'm John Clay, your Chief Strategy Guide and host for this edition of Benefits with John Clay. So, hey, let's talk about the trends that have evolved for 2023 and being Pearl Harbor Day and all like that. Why you got to look back on the history of innovation. And I was reading some statistics last night, matter of fact, about the amount of military hardware that the United States produced in times of war. And it's amazing what some ingenuity and some focus will do for a society that has transcended all man and propelled us into these United States of America here today. So we're going to talk a little bit about what the trends are and, with an eye on the past, but also focused on the future because, hey, business trends of 2023 are going to blow your mind. Quick shout out to our sponsor. Today's show is sponsored by none other than Better Source Benefits, Benefits Options Solutions. Check it out at www.bettersourcebenefits.com. So last time we were talking about IBNR, incurred but not reported, one of those little understood components of the fully insured and self-funded renewals. And we'll get back into breaking down those individual line items you see in the renewals. But today we want to kind of focus forward as we round out Q4 and finish up the month of December. And we're going to dive into the details of the 5 business trends of 2023. Let's face it, businesses have encountered a host of challenges in the last few years, and especially in the last 2. And those have spurred significant change. And 2023 looks to be just as dynamic. Businesses will contend with economic uncertainty. I suppose we'll never get away from COVID. And we're still dealing with digital transformation imperatives because, the focus is going to be on several key things, supply chain and so forth. We're going to dig into those in a little more detail. So to help you out, I've compiled some data on the different industry shifts to look out for in 2023 and beyond. Because you've tuned into our show, it'll be easier for you to fully understand the changes and trends that will impact your entrepreneurial endeavors. And you may want to update your strategies accordingly. Why, you may ask? So you can keep your business and keep it moving forward. And these are changing times, and you've got to keep your edge against that competition. Law, no, you got to keep up with that competition. So we all know uncertainty not only presents risks, but it also presents opportunities. Ancient Chinese secret, right? So a company with strong foundations and the ability to be flexible, adaptable, and agreeable can adapt to these current challenges and see what the advantages can be for them going forward. The key part is if you keep moving, others may still be stalled or retreating. And with that in mind, let's dig in right here to the trends that we believe will have an impact in business and the way we work and do business in 2023. So look no further than the accelerated digital transformation, right? In 2023, in our crystal ball, we see innovation and development in artificial intelligence, the internet, the AI, the Internet of Things, the IoT, virtual and augmented reality, okay, VA and VR, AR and VR, sorry. Cloud computing, still the big deal. Blockchain, still a big deal. And super fast network protocols like 5G and whatever else, there'll be a 6 or 10G before it's all over with. So what's cool is for the tech people out there, digital technologies are talking to each other. They're integrating, and we're starting to see those lines blurred between those boundaries. And, that's something that, looking back at Japan, they were focused on two things. They were focused on building an impeccable army and focused on building an impeccable navy. However, the army and navy didn't really talk to each other. And when you've got silos, and we've talked about this in other shows, when you've got silos that don't integrate and talk to each other, well, the results speak for themselves. So we've already seen solutions for augmented working conditions, hybrid and remote locations. And if you throw in a little business decision making and automation of routine and manual workloads, and all of a sudden, boom, you've got technologies that enable companies to enhance each other in the different departments. And what's the key here is this brings us closer than ever to the point where we're able to create these intelligent enterprises. And this is where systems and processes support each other in a complete and menial and mundane task in the most efficient way possible. Remember 2001, A Space Odyssey? Hello, Hal. Well, they're here, and look for these businesses. Doesn't matter where it is, businesses across the spectrum are going to embed this technology throughout their processes, and most likely in every area of their operation, because as of 2023, there's very little excuse for being in business and not having an understand of artificial intelligence, AI, and other technologies that we just mentioned that will impact the business and industry. It's here, folks. And who can say that Salesforce hasn't impacted their marketing and sales platforms, right? Or any other sales platform that has a funnel and drives folks through a process, automated, so that you have a step-by-step textbook, basically, of where you're going to take a prospect from attraction through engagement through conversion to a client. Well, boom, that's already here, and that's going to continue. And there's outreaches and other technologies in every facet of our business that are driving that market experience. We're going to talk a little bit about what that means in just a minute, because what you're doing with that marketing, that streamlined and technology, is more effective sales and marketing, of course, but you're also talking better customer service. You're talking more efficient supply chains. Anything that's not adding value is considered waste and has to be eliminated, the supply chain mantra. And then products and services that are more aligned with customers' needs because they're focused, and streamlined manufacturing processes, again, to deliver a better product faster to the market with an optimized supply chain. It's just here. It's taking the Henry Ford Model A model to a whole new level, folks. So, and in 2023, the barriers to accessing them and the delivering results are lower than ever. So there's no explanation. There's no reason, that you can't access at least something to bring your business along and to enhance the experience, not only for yourself as a manufacturer or service provider, but for your clients as the receivers of that manufacturing product or service. So AI, artificial intelligence, blockchain, they're available now as a service models via the cloud. They've got new interfaces and apps. An app store, you can get just about anything on the app store, and they're no code environments, so you can do it pretty simply. So let's move to the next next thing that we see in our crystal ball, and that's the inflation and supply chain security. So the economic forecast for most of the world doesn't look good in 2023. Experts are saying that inflation is going to continue, subdued economic growth, blah, 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 gloom and doom for a lot of these economic types. And, that doesn't stop the wheels of progress from turning. And many industries are still going to be plagued with these supply chain issues that came out during COVID and, are impacted by the war in Ukraine. So food costs are out of sight. I mean, that doesn't go beyond the domestic reality that food costs are out of sight. A box of chicken that used to be $30 is now $140 for the same product. Eggs are up 40% year over year, and those are staples. Those are basic. I don't care what your gas price is doing now. We got to be able to eat. And, as a result, these companies are having to improve their resilience in any way they can by reducing exposures to these volatile market pricing, whether it's commodities, food costs for restaurants, or precious raw materials. You've got to build protective measures into your supply chain to deal with shortages and these rising logistical costs. Because if you have to start paying premium freight to bring a product in to manufacture your end unit, you got to find a way to get that from somewhere else and things of that nature. So our pro tip is that companies map out their entire supply chain, map it out to identify any exposure to a supply or an inflation risk. That's our pro tip, because if you know where your product is coming from, then you can create the workarounds for those and get that product in there to deliver your service or product at a substantially reduced and more economic rate. This exercise, it reveals the way to mitigate the risk and identify those alternative suppliers and become more self-reliant. You got to look inside yourself to find those solutions, because nobody's going to hand them to you. You're going to get calls from providers and service providers like us. We're going to suggest things that you can, of course, but would you take a call if it would reduce your cost by 30%? It would be worth a 10-minute investigation, wouldn't it? And so, you look at the number of companies that decided to go in-source for parts. They're making them themselves now. And they did that as a result of the Chinese manufacturing slowdown or stoppage that is still going to be plagued by, zero tolerance COVID policy. And let's, avoid these subsequent shutdowns. If you're relying on China for your supply chain, it's time, if you haven't already, and I'm sure most of us have, you got to make plan B, and that's to look at your downline supply chain. So let's start preparing for this downturn, right? That's 2023. Again, the crystal ball says prepare for a downturn. Well, the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, they say global growth is going to slow down more than previously expected. Imagine that. Gloom and doom again, more gloom and doom. And they cite all the usual items, inflation factors, the war, the shutdown in China. Again, a review of what we just talked about. But the obvious reasons are why government should work together to resolve this issue. My opinion is, my deal here is that stop this global conflict. Let's stop the war in Ukraine. Get us out of there. Stop funding it. Hello. And let's go back to domestic energy production. Those are my 2 cents worth, okay? Because you've got U.S. projected economic and GDP growth at 1%. Come on, man. That's not. Oh, wait. Don't even start. I understand. So the catch is that high inflation and a slow real estate market and policy tightening by the Federal Reserve, it's like the triple whammy. That's going to tip that U.S. economy into a moderate recession. We saw it in 1978, 9, 80, 81, 82, 83. Well, all the ingredients are in the cake right now to create that for at least the first quarter of 2023, and some forecast a whole lot longer than that. So while a recession is not certain, corporate leaders should still work on building resilience into their business. And here's how we do it. Okay, as we discussed in previous shows, implementing that value agenda gets us a prioritized, structured, value generating approach on profitable and rapidly expanding markets, supplies, and where the business has an ownership advantage. You got to look at that great resignation for talent. We've talked about that in previous shows. Being in a strong position to capture that current movement that we're seeing out in the labor pool as an incremental share from the competition by going and selectively hiring and building your team wisely. And then, of course, you got to lean into technology because these digital initiatives matter, and automation for tasks that save on labor costs, frees up resources. It allows teams to focus on high value tasks. That's what we're seeing today, and it will continue very strongly going forward for the new year. And then last but not least, you got to invest in R&D. Now, many people will say, oh, research and development. Well, hey, yeah, that's a flavor of R&D, but there's another flavor of R&D, and that's rob and duplicate. If it's good for the Chinese, it's good for us. You don't have to recreate the wheel. Just get into a mastermind group that may not be in your particular vertical or, in your territory, but is already doing things that is improving their supply chain or improving their process. And you can borrow that knowledge from them, because a lot of times in those conferences, they'll share what they're doing when your markets don't overlap. It's kind of cool. It's how I learned to do what I do. So, and then finally, you've got another trend here that or not finally, but next to last, an immersive customer experience. So let's break that down. What is happening with the customer experience? We've all experienced it, but we haven't really labeled it. So let's talk about this. For 2023, the customers are going to crave the experience above all else. And no, that doesn't mean that price and quality don't have a role in things anymore or take a back seat, but the experience of choosing, purchasing, and enjoying the goods and services we spend our money on are going to come to the forefront. And the role that technology plays has been to streamline this experience and the process by which we buy. Who's buying on Amazon? Who cannot say that they've looked at, or at least glanced on Prime Day, right? The recommendations engines. You've got, if you've been out on Amazon, and you've got constant inflow on your email for recommendation engines telling you that this is great. You looked at this. Do you still want it? Do you want to buy it? Blah, blah, blah. And these online customer service portals are serving problems, but they're also generating revenue for these vendors because their advanced technology, artificial intelligence, hyper intelligent roles are continuing to play a key role in 2023, because the immersion and interactivity is something that I don't know what the statistics are today, but it's like we look at our cell phones 100 times an hour, something ridiculous like that. And the metaverse, the metaverse is a catch-all term used by futurists to describe the next level of the internet. Well, they know that this immersion and interactivity is part of their MO. So they're giving more technology with the immersion side of things, with 3D environments, virtual reality, and so forth, where all those enhancements will play out. So we have online shops. We try to browse. We can try on virtual representations of clothes, jewelry, accessories, virtual dressing rooms that dress up avatars of ourselves. Hugo Boss does it, or it could involve artificial reality, which is used by Walmart to see how clothes fit on actual bodies of ours. And these trends are either online or offline. You go into a store and see that on the retail side. So back to the whole trend towards experience that is so strong that big house brands like Adobe and Adweek are actually hiring and appointing chief experience officers as a foundational element of the business strategy. Chief experience officer. So that's what they see as the value proposition in the experience of what's going on with retail. Sorry, whoops. And then lastly, but let's talk about this, the talent challenge. We've noted before that there's the great resignation and quiet quitting. So what are we doing about that? Well, we're all, employers are having to reassess the impact of the work that they are performing and the team that they are putting together to do that work, because the candidates for these jobs are assessing or reassessing what they want to do with their lives. And this mentality, this culture has come to the forefront, where you have pressure on employers to provide attractive careers, the flexibility of hybrid work, at home or remote, an enticing work environment, and company culture. I mean, hey, you remember what happened with Twitter? They were providing free lunch and work remote. I mean, it's company culture was all about that at Twitter. It was a virtual hipster barbecue. So, I mean, you got to offer fulfilling work, and you have to keep those ongoing opportunities to grow in the forefront of your focus for employees and team members. You got to learn the flexibility, diversity, and inclusion. You got to value the workplaces with value orientations there, and that's all going to be essential in 2023. So, hey, let's summarize. The digital transformation leads to more workplace automation that will put new tech into every single job in the world. Humans will increasingly share their work with intelligent machines and smart robots, and changes requirements for the skills and talent companies require in the future is happening. This is going to mean reskilling and upskilling huge swathes of people in business and recruiting new people that have the skills already for the future. So you got, on one side, you've got the business facing a vast skills gap in data science, artificial intelligence, other technology areas. So they have to ensure they're creating a data and tech savvy workforce, okay, to succeed in the future. And then on the other side, you've got technology that requires businesses to retrain that existing workforce and bring those skills along to work with smart machines and do other things that can't be automated. So in 2023, premium value for employees will include the skills of creativity, critical thinking, interpersonal communication, because we're back to an office setting for a lot of us, leadership, caring, and compassion. It's a different culture, but it's basic culture. Big trends are coming for this new year. And as we go back to the workplace, think about that creativity, critical thinking, interpersonal communication, leadership, caring, and compassion. Hey, it's human nature, and that's what we want. So big trends again are coming and developing for the new year. We're excited about 2023 here at Better Source Benefits. Check us out at www.bettersourcebenefits.com and have a look at the results page for insights on clients that we use technology to deliver bottom line results for. Most of the cases that we have, savings are permanent, and moving from these fully insured medical plans to a custom plan is one size fits one. It's awesome. So that's it for today. Oh, and I would be remiss to say, if you want to book some time with me, John Clay, your chief strategist and host in today's program, I'd be glad to invest that little bit of time with you on a 30-minute discovery call. So again, that's it for today. Join us next week, same time, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific for Benefits with John Clay. And I hope you have a great day and the rest of the week, and we'll see you next time.